Good morning, or afternoon, or night, dear teacher Jesse. Today, I, Ariel Moya, will be presenting the passive voice. First of all, we have to know what is the passive voice is a grammatical tense to change that we use to change the focus of the sentence from the subject to the object. For example, in most of sentences we want to focus in the action doer, who's doing the action. But here in passive voice we are focused in other things. Those other things are related to this usage, the actions that the object receives. For example, here the pool is cleaned. The cleaning of the pool is in which we are interested. The second is about a more specific context. For example, in process, we can be really interested in the way in which something is doing. Let's go to the example. The verdes are picked in November by the gatherers. Those are those fruits are going through a process, which are the process of being picked. The third one is to describe the action that another person performs. Let's go to the example. La incondicional was greatly interpreted by Luis Miguel. Here we have actually another word that make us to focus in the interpretation of that song. La incondicional was greatly interpreted. We are focusing just in the interpretation of that song. And the last use is the formal and polite statements. This is commonly seen in travels in ships or in, I don't know, in big buses can be, and in planes. After that, we have the conversion of an active voice to a passive voice. And here we have 5 steps. First, we have our active sentence. Juan wrote a book. This is a really easy sentence, okay? So we will be focusing really good in all the parts of the book because of the level of complex of this sentence. First step, identify the subject, verb, and the object of the tense. Here we have Juan is the subject, verb is growth because the action is growth, and book is the object, that thing that are receiving the action. Second, we have to move the object to become the new subject of the sentence. Here we have again a book. A book, let's move it to the beginning of the sentence, and a passive sentence will be starting with a book. Second, we have to identify the tense of the active sentence. Juan wrote a book. That's past simple, right? Okay, so that's past simple. The fourth step is conjugate the verb be in the same tense as the active sentence, and we have to add that conjugated verb be to the passive sentence. And here we have a book was, because in the first active sentence was past simple, and we put the verb to be in past simple, and it is was because a book have to use was because of its tense, of its person. And the last step is add the past participle of the main verb after the verb to be. The past participle of which verb? The principal. That is in this sentence the verb growth. So that verb growth, the past participle is greeting. So a book was greeting. And the last thing that I didn't put here because that's an optional a little bit step because when we want to talk about some specific situations in which the subject is not important or we don't know about it, we don't have to add this. Yeah, and that's why it's optional because if we put a book was greeting, it could be complete, but in this case we put the complete information by whom. After that, we have to take into account this really important table because that have a lot of information that is useful to transform from tenses. I could um, underline this present perfect because, or some of these because are a bit important. For example, confusing that I had was about will. Is will going to the passive voice? I thought it wasn't, but it is. So we have to take into account all of this. Yeah, actually, also in modal verbs, we have the same, and that's what we have to extract from this information. And to end this, I will explain some of these examples. I will select this, the fourth. The product is already being distributed. The product. We're focusing in the product and the process. If we go back to the uses, we see the process that the object is being done. Yeah. So the distribution is important. And as I said in this example with the steps, the action doer is done mandatory to put it in the sentence because he have been distributed by who? It's not important. The important thing is that its product is being distributed. Another example, uh, the album Soy Como Quiero Ser was released by Luis Miguel. We are focusing in the action doer and the action because the realization of that album was this. Really good stuff. So that's my explanation of the passive voice. I hope you liked it and this is a good presentation for you. Regards, teacher. I hope you are really okay. I say sorry because I'm not sending my homework at time. I thank you for giving me the opportunity. Goodbye. Goodbye.